Good afternoon, listeners. My name is Fareed, and I'm with KARDOVITE. Dr. Bill has just stepped out for a minute, and he should be back shortly.
I have arrived. Please continue introing KARDOVITE. I tell people you have to start off your day with KARDOVITE. Why? Because you want a heartbeat. You want happy capillaries. You live as old as your capillaries, and your lifespan is determined by your mitochondria. Your capillaries determine the circulation of your brain, your solid organs, your muscles, every other tissue. And the nitric oxide metabolism, the removal of heavy metals and bisphenol A and other toxic chemicals interfere with CoQ10. The ability to deliver oxygen and pull out toxins, the ability to deliver nutrients, it's your capillaries. So tell us more about KARDOVITE.
Certainly. Well, KARDOVITE was developed by my dad, and he's a pharmacist who studied herbal medicine in Germany in the 60s. Fancy way of saying it is called pharmacognosy. And one of the things that Dad has always wondered about is why circulation is considered to be, very important in Europe, and here in North America, people don't really pay attention to it. It's an afterthought. When we think of heart disease, we think of all kinds of things besides circulation. We think of, angina. We think of high cholesterol. We think of blocked arteries. But really, what is the purpose of that pump in our body? It's to circulate 5 liters of blood per minute through our circulatory system to deliver oxygen and nutrients. So, KARDOVITE is not just good for the heart. It's good for every organ in your body.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, let's go over the components of KARDOVITE so people understand why it was decided that this possible formula starts out with hawthorn. And it has to be the right strain of hawthorn as well. Can you explain the different versions of hawthorn and why other companies are trying to second guess companies that come out of China and elsewhere? And then we have naturopaths and other people say, "Oh yeah, our stuff is just as good." No, it's not. If it was as good or better, I would definitely market it. I mean, we market KARDOVITE because we know it's the formula that's got the Australian certification and Canadian, which are the toughest in the world.
Well, yeah, and in order to get the Canadian certification, and you're right, it is the toughest in the world, and it actually took us about 10 years to get what we call an NPN number here in Canada. It was not an easy process. So one of the things that they look at in granting these certifications is the effectiveness of the ingredients. And so hawthorn is a plant that is grown in Europe, but it also grows elsewhere in the world, and including China. And there's slight differences or variations in the plant and the active constituents. And so that the studies that have been done on hawthorn have been done on the European hawthorn, and specifically using the flowers and the leaves. And that's an important distinction, because a lot of people actually think it's berries that are supposed to be used for heart purposes, but that's not actually the case. It's the flowers and the leaves that have the active constituent called vitexin. And we test for it and make sure that it's in KARDOVITE at a level of at least 1.8%.
Exactly. Now, the vitexin is a high-pressure chromatography byproduct, so it tells you if you're on the right track.
Yeah, so basically it indicates the overall quality of the herb. I mean, there are other constituents in the herb that also are effective, but the vitexin is a marker compound that tells us the overall effectiveness of the herb, and we make sure that
and it's a cardiotonic, which means it's going to increase cardiac contractility. It's going to improve health of the capillaries as well. Let's go to the next component. What's next?
Well, then we have aged garlic extract with containing 1% allicin.
Yeah, the aged garlic is going to have 3 different effects. Firstly, it's an angiotensin-converting enzyme inhibitor, so it works at the kidney level to block angiotensin conversion. Second, it kills off nanobacteria, which are necessary to form plaque with free iron or heavy metals. And the third, it has a direct effect at improving microcirculation, because when you have free radicals generating peroxynitrate, etc., because it has thiol compounds, it increases the production of nitric oxide. So, next one?
The next one is cayenne.
Cayenne is a direct stimulant of microcirculation. Cayenne is a vasodilator. And so that's going to vasodilate the capillary vascular bed, which is a main area of resistance. It's not your arterioles, it's your capillary bed. And the secondary is our arteriolar vascular muscular wall. Levels of nitric oxide, etc. So it's going to improve that. Next?
And for the small blood vessels or capillaries, such as in your eyes and your kidneys, we've got the bilberry.
Yeah, bilberry is a dialyzable antioxidant, so it crosses the blood-brain barrier, crosses the vascular tree very nicely, and as a result, it helps to get rid of peroxynitrate, hydroperoxy radical, nitroperoxy radical. So it's very powerful in that way, and it helps to prevent fatty acid oxidation, which forms plaque as well.
And then we have ginkgo.
Ginkgo is a natural vasodilator. It's a very powerful at stimulating, we call the increased cardiac contractility, as well as it's a vasotonic effect on the heart, as well as a vasodilator. And
then we've got the milk thistle for the liver and valerian root for the nervous system.
Yeah, the milk thistle is a major stimulant for all the detox pathways for chemical and heavy metal in the liver, and it's the primary detox pathways to get most of the toxins out of the body. And the valerian is the balance of the autonomic nervous system. It's also a direct cardiotonic. It helps to improve cardiac contractility, but most important thing is it balances the sympathetic and parasympathetic system, so you don't end up with sympathetic overdrive. Because a lot of time you'll see increased sympathetic activity in people with heart disease. So when you start taking valerian, your heart rate drops, your body is more relaxed. Autonomic nervous system is in we call fight or flight. Has a major effect also on all of those things. It helps to improve the cardiac contractility. Valerian is a direct cardiotonic.
Yeah.
So overall, you get better heart function, better blood vessel function, better delivery of nutrients and oxygen, better removal of heavy metals and toxic chemicals, balancing the autonomic nervous system, and prevention of formation of unstable plaque in the artery wall. So it does a whole lot of things. And we have people who have had a heart attack, taken it, and they've found that their heart muscle recovers, and there's no residual heart muscle damage, even if they had a heart attack, which is unheard of. We see people that have been told they have vascular problems, say, in their leg, and they've got claudication. They take it 6 months later, they go back and do another vascular study, like a NEVA, arterial and venous study, and they say, oh my gosh, your blood vessels are fine now. So they don't need it. We have people who've had STT wave changes. They start taking KARDOVITE over a few months. The body clears up the unstable plaque. They stop having what's called their blood pressure drops. We had one gentleman just told me the other day, he was about, maybe 60 pounds overweight. He was in class 3 hypertension. As soon as he started on KARDOVITE, within 2 weeks, his doctor said it's the first time his blood pressure is totally normal. And he was on medications before it didn't work. The KARDOVITE did. And it doesn't exclude that people may need temporarily some meds, especially if they're overweight, like a diuretic or an ACE inhibitor, ACE receptor blocker. But most other drugs like beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, and are dangerous and stupid. They'll make you gain weight and do other bad things to you. And drugs like Bistolic are plain dangerous. So I tell people, you want to be on the natural therapies and you want to get on a weight loss and diet program, a low-salt vegetarian-style diet with maybe a little fish once in a while. But by and large, with diet and lifestyle and the nutraceutical approach, you're going to get your health restored. So pretty powerful stuff. And every adult, I think, over 20 should be on it, actually. I think it's that severe and that important that vascular disease, you don't get serious trouble in your 40s, but you start it in your 20s. And, you might have elevated blood insulin, you may have abnormal lipid oxidation, you may have vasospasm, you might be getting spells of hypertension, low magnesium. All these things contribute to the degradation. Tell some of the testimonies you've had, Fareed.
Well, most recently, actually, and here in Canada, we sell it in health food stores. And most recently, I had a lady who, she was really reluctant to bring it in. There's a lot of competition in Canada for different types of things, and very difficult to get a product in the store. But I gave her a sample of this product, and she called me back a week later, and she said, you know what, my blood pressure has dropped from 170 to 130, and in the space of a week. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you, Fareed. We'll be back in a moment. Get KARDOVITE. We have specials on all the time. Back in a moment. Welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report. And, we are going to be joined now by Dr. Bob Thiel. Dr. William PAWLUK, Dr. William PAWLUK. And Dr. PAWLUK is a physician who is an expert on the application of electromagnetic therapies to heal the body. And Dr. PAWLUK, welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me back. How are you today?
great. We just have one segment, so I want you to get right into the idea of why the SOMAPULSE is such a great little device, because I tell people we have some amazing devices that we use to augment healing, LUMEN photon light therapy. The SOMAPULSE is right there because it's portable. It can be applied to any area to detox the body from heavy metals and chemicals. It can also stimulate stem cell activation by 400%. It's based on research on the polar orbit observation that when you pass over the polar orbital poles, the magnetic flux field stimulates stem cells in culture in the space station by up to 400+%. And you're able to simulate that frequency in the SOMAPULSE, which means whether you put it over your heart, liver, or other organs, it's going to mobilize toxins, and it's going to stimulate stem cells dramatically. So it's an amazing device for clearing off pain, for stimulating healing, and it's safe, and it's a low enough energy. You don't need to worry about the signal-to-noise ratio. You can apply it to an area for hours and reduce pain dramatically. And if you're on to stimulate healing of an area, let's say a fracture or compression fracture or a problem like a osteopenia, osteomyelitis of the bone, this is going to help dramatically. Can you give us a bit of the science behind it, and then the application with Velcro straps and other types of devices? They can go on the linked website when they go through our Nutrimedical to the SOMAPULSE site. You also have some affiliate companies that will provide the right way of applying it to the body in splints and braces.
Well, before I get to your specific questions, let me make a note to you. July 10th is a very notable day. It is the birth date of Nikola Tesla.
July 10th. Isn't that funny?
Right, and on July 10th in Toronto, they're going to have something called Tesla Mania. It's a whole 2 or 3 day event related to what Tesla has done to help humanity. Obviously, we all know that Tesla developed AC. So all the power that we get now, the power generation that we get, was all due to Nikola Tesla. But he did a whole lot more. And one of the most important things that he did is develop something called a Tesla coil. Part of what the Tesla coil is includes the kinds of coils that we now have in pulse magnetic field devices.
Right.
Which is exactly what we have with the SOMAPULSE. The SOMAPULSE are two small, essentially, Tesla coils, Tesla-type coils.
Right.
Right, so July 10th becomes an important date, so we're very close to that, aren't we? And therefore we can celebrate the value to humanity that Tesla brought.
That's pretty amazing. Now, when we use a Tesla coil, you're reproducing a frequency similar to the Schumann resonance of the Earth.
We are reproducing frequencies that are close to the Schumann resonance. So there's some debate about what the actual Schumann resonance is. And the studies done in Germany in bunkers looking at the frequencies that work best for the body, the frequency that came out the most effective was 10 hertz, 10
right.
cycles per second. Most
right.
people, when they read about Schumann resonance, they read about 7.83 as like the average resonance. Actually, there are multiple peaks in the Schumann resonance fields, which
right.
have to do with the lightning storms around the planet. So those frequencies are actually, there are bands of frequencies. And now today, compared to the past, compared to Schumann's time, we now have electricity which produces 110 or 120 volts, right? But they're
right.
at 50 to 60 hertz. So there's a 50 to 60 hertz peak now in the Tesla field.
Interesting.
In the Schumann field.
So that peak in the Schumann field is around the world.
It's around the world.
Interesting.
So there's feedback from our civilization, if you will, and the generation of electricity. There's feedback now into the atmosphere, and that 50 to 60 hertz peak shows up when you measure the frequencies around the planet.
Now, how did they ever discover why this unusual frequency over the poles and the one reproduced by the SOMAPULSE stimulates stem cells 400%, which basically in many cases obviates the need even for a stem cell transplant? You can put it over somebody's heart who's got heart failure. You can put it over somebody's kidneys with renal failure. Someone with peripheral diabetic neuropathy. With the right supplements presenting the building blocks, the body can rebuild a tissue. What's so unique about it? Why is it so effective?
Well, the problem is that humans are not just tissue. Humans are electromagnetic. They're electrical. We're conducting all the time. Never mind the nerves. But if you contract a muscle, you create a current flowing down through that forearm at the rate of 30 meters a second. 30 meters per second. That's huge. From a physical perspective, it's instantaneous. So what happens then is that when you pass through the poles of the Earth, you're doing something similar. You're passing tangentially, horizontally, basically, mostly, through the magnetic poles of the Earth. That interacts with tissue, with biology. That interaction then stimulates, at a very rudimentary level, stem cells. It stimulates other tissues too, but one of the things that it does is stimulate stem cells. So what does stimulating stem cells do for us? It activates regeneration in our body. So any time that any tissues in our body are stuck in their natural process of healing, and let's face it, after age 40, we're all stuck to varying degrees. Right? So we all need extra help in order to get those stem cells moving and so on. And you can support your body with nutrition. You can support your body with supplements. You can support your body with exercise and activity. But there's something more that we're missing often, especially in our culture today, where we're not as active as they were in the past, where they were constantly moving in the environment.
Right.
That constant motion created a tremendous amount of stimulation, electromagnetic stimulation of the body. So humans today are stuck, basically, and the PEMFs, especially the SOMAPULSE, really make a difference to re-energizing the cells in the body to become healthier and become more normal and become alive, if you will.
Right. Now, I give some testimonials of people who have had various organ failure problems and have used the SOMAPULSE for pain control or for organ regeneration.
Well, we certainly one of the key aspects of the SOMAPULSE is pain management. It's spectacular because it's portable. Most other PEMF devices, pulse magnetic field devices that are available, require electricity, require to be plugged into the wall, which means you have to sit there while you're doing a treatment. The beauty of the SOMAPULSE is that you could just strap it onto your body because it uses a 9-volt battery, and you can get on about your life. You don't have to be tied to the wall. So that's one of the major important things. And then in addition to that is a point that you mentioned, which is that the SOMAPULSE has actually been found in NASA research, not their own research, but NASA research, to stimulate stem cells by a factor of 4-fold, which means that you are, again, regenerating tissue. You're allowing the tissue to regenerate.
That's what's pretty amazing. If they want to get a SOMAPULSE or more information, how do they contact you, Dr. PAWLUK?
Well, they can go to your website and do the link from your website to be able to order a SOMAPULSE.
Absolutely. If they want to contact you too, they can contact via that link. If they have any questions, call me, 888-212-8871. Thank you, Dr. PAWLUK. We'll have you back on soon. Back in just a moment with more wellness. Welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report. And we're talking about wellness issues, and we just talked with Dr. William PAWLUK about SOMAPULSE. Now we're into LUMEN PHOTON. I can tell you, LUMEN PHOTON's an amazing device. I find so many uses for it. Ron, when we talk about LUMEN PHOTON, Dr. Nogier discovered different organ systems had different pace frequencies. Mesoderm, endoderm, ectoderm. These are the core frequencies of the main tissues that make your internal organs, your endocrine glands, your skin, your nervous system, etc. And if we look at the numbers from 1 to 7, 7 is the highest frequency, the most anti-inflammatory. NICO is a combination of frequencies to heal. Frequency number 3, I think you mentioned, is good for eyes, for stimulating those glands, for stimulating healing. But the NICO is what we commonly use because it's a combination of frequencies. It's great for pain control, great for stimulating regeneration, improving oxygenation, detoxing organs, solid organs from chemicals and heavy metals. If you don't have an infrared sauna, this is the next best thing to have a LUMEN PHOTON. And you can put it over the solid organs. Even putting it over area of the kidneys can improve the production of the anti-inflammatory molecules and lowering C-reactive protein, which is a primary marker for heart disease. So, Ron, tell us more about the kind of the tie-in with the numbers and the frequencies and what they mean. Frequency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Well, we'll start with the 3, 4, and 5, which are the core, because 3 is ectoderm tissue, which includes all the skin, nerve, our eyes, all the neural tissue in the body. And then number 4 is endoderm. That's all the ligaments, the glandular tissues, circulation. It's the lymph function and the glandular tissues, and so those are. A lot of times we forget how important the lymph and the circulation is, because without good blood flow, we don't do very well. Diabetic neuropathy sets in. We have problems with the feet and that sort of thing. Nerve function falls apart.
That's why we recommend vibrational platform exercises.
Yes.
And why it's so powerful using vibrational therapy. At Lumen Photon also, for if you want to reverse peripheral neuropathy, get a vibrational machine and get a Lumen Photon. If you want to stimulate stem cells as well, get a SOMAPULSE.
Yeah.
So the Lumen Photon, we have people that are using it for everything. I mean, to lower eye pressure, to stop retinitis, to stop head injuries, to stop vertigo in the middle ear from Meniere's disease. People that have had concussions, people that have chronic periodontal disease, sinus infections, where it's going to clear the bone, improve circulation, so you get better penetration of our antipathogenics like ALLICIN-MED, Nutrimedical, and Silver 100. And people need to take control of their own health. They can't just kind of hand it over to what they call the toxic docs. Toxic docs may give out by accident some safe medications, but most of the time they don't. You need to understand what the underlying cause of your problem is, your wellness or unwellness condition, and then start taking control, fixing the underlying problem. If you've got recurring allergies and sinus problems, you need our Allergon, Allerblock, high-dose Power C, and full vitamin K2. You need maybe immunoglobulins like Immunomax or NutriImmune, but you also need to clear the infection out of the sinus cavities. And that can be helped with not only our antipathogenics like Nutrimedical, Silver 100, and ALLICIN-MED, Allamax, but also just getting the circulation improved with the Lumen Photon. It's, people clear their sinuses, clear their chest, open up coronary arteries, open up carotid arteries if there's some blockages of the circulation in their neck. It's pretty remarkable how people do well when you get them the proper help. They can actually reverse many unwellness conditions, or we call illness. I like to refer to them as unwellness because it means diet, lifestyle, and metabolic nutrient support, along with energetic support like Lumen Photon, can make a major difference. Tell us some stories about what you've heard about the technology and why it's so superior to almost anything else out there for both not only animals but humans. We have horses, small pets. I mean, we have pets will jump up on the couch and take over the pads when I'm sure your wife is gone, or if I go, I'm sure my dog Max loves it.
So we've had. This is a big equestrian area, and we've been called in on occasion to deal with some horses that were badly hurt, and big equestrian hospital and all that. But occasionally we were have been called in to deal with horses, and when they're hurt, they are frightened, and they're very nervous. And that's a big animal. That's half a ton at least. Some of these are very large. So the quicker that we can get a pad on them, just anywhere on their body where they will allow me to put it, or put us, whoever's using it, put it on the body, it begins to stimulate the release of endorphins into their bodies. And usually within 10, maybe 15 minutes, they have calmed down dramatically because the endorphins have taken over and they're relaxing. They're not as nervous as they were. And very often, once that process begins, they can begin calm down, so that the vet can actually work with them safely without being afraid of being either bitten or being kicked or being just trampled on, that sort of thing. So it's very, very simple to use in those situations, and it's worth taking those few minutes to allow that to happen. We've seen enough of it to know that it has worked. We've dealt with these animals for a long time. We have horses ourselves, so we know that it works. It works on horses. It works on canaries. So it works on baby kittens. Everything on our farm has been used, has this therapy used for different things at different times. That includes canaries, lovebirds, cockatiels. Literally, it's that simple, that effective to do, and it's safe enough to use on a canary, and then it works on the bigger animals as well. Right. And it does it in the same manner. It just works. It's just simpler. So.
Yeah, it's placebo-free therapy. In other words, when you're dealing with animals, there's no potential for a placebo effect.
Yeah, they don't know what a placebo is. All they know is that they feel better and they're not as frightened as they were a half an hour ago. And that's how we got involved with this originally, and began using it on everything from animals, and then we started using it on people through the clinic, and people were coming in. The very first person that came to us after a stroke had been a big man in California, and he and his wife had moved from California to our area. He had a stroke. His wife had gotten really, they were elderly, but his wife he lost his wife, and his physical therapist called me and said he's despondent because he lost his wife and he's can't get around because he had a stroke. And was it possible that this could change for him? And the only thing I knew was to try to use the lights on the affected side of the brain. Number 3 for the neural tissue, number 4 for the circulation. And lo and behold, he called me the next morning. He was crying because he could lift his left leg for the first time in 8 or 9 years. I can't remember. It was 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, that's remarkable. That's remarkable.
Yeah, there was literally, he couldn't walk, of course. I mean, he didn't have any muscle tone, but he could move the leg. And that was something that said, wow, there's big potential right here. This can happen. So, we believe amazing. There's a lot more. We've seen more of this, but this is one of those that
So, in other words, let's talk about where these machines should be. Firstly, they should be in your home.
Yeah.
They should be in fitness gym. They should be in your doctor's office, your chiropractic office, your naturopath's office. They should be in your summer home. They should be in your airplane cabin so you don't end up with a sore back from laying in a position for 8 or 10 hours if you're flying internationally. They should be in every senior's home, every fitness club, every professional club, including the soccer. We're watching international soccer. These guys are banging into each other and flying in the air and straining muscles. They should be in their fitness club. They should be anywhere where you get a neurointensive care unit, let's say to reduce brain swelling. They should be in the emergency department to control pain post-op. Instead of slapping them on with more narcotics and sedative hypnotics and Valium and so on, they should slap on Lumen pad right after they've done post-op plastic surgery, abdominal surgery. So, people are often very sore post-op when they come out of anesthetic. If they had this on, they would probably dramatically reduce the need for narcotics or anything else for pain. Kidney stones, they'll pass kidney stones, they'll pass gallbladder stones. We recently had a request for people taking magnesium potassium citrate, Nutrifos and Neurogen, Omega Supreme, and Omega Supreme Krill for passing the stones. But of course, the technology is Lumen Photon. You're going to pass your sludge and not make stones, and you're going to pass the stuff and pass little tiny gravel with the Lumen Photon. Back to the Nutrimedical report. And we'll continue our discussions with Ron. And I want to kind of weave this into people with spinal stenosis and other problems. What I recommend with people take is anti-inflammatory Inflamex and Cell Defense. I recommend they take Tendon Mender, Joint Performance, Mountain Red Velvet, and Collagen Max. But when you have all these building blocks, then you apply Lumen Photon, setting number 7 to get pain control down from 7 or 8 down to 2 or 3. And then start doing an eco. If you have problems with hypertension, put it over your kidneys and your heart. Put it on the NICO settings, and you're going to start detoxifying. You're going to start flushing heavy metals and bisphenol A and so on from the heart muscle. You're going to put it over the kidneys. You're going to open up the kidney circulation. By the way, also then take BioLVR and take Vein-Away, which is going to protect the kidneys from diabetic or other types of proteinuria caused glomerular damage. Vein-Away, very, very powerful, which is diosmin, an enzyme. They bring it in especially from Europe that actually will protect the kidneys from lots of problems. Now, when you add Lumen Photon, you're adding the energy. If you've got, let's say, carpal tunnel syndrome, take our Tendon Mender, Joint Performance, Leptin Metabolic, Collagen Max, Mountain Red Velvet, Mycel D3, Myco D2, and then apply to the area, to the hand and the wrist of that affected side with a carpal tunnel syndrome or with the cubital tunnel syndrome, which is up in the elbow, the Lumen Photon. And we're talking about applying 7 to control the pain. Initially, you're going to be dominating with number 7 setting for up to an hour or more a day. And you start off with only 10 or 15 minutes of the NICO setting, but gradually increase NICO, so eventually it's half and half. You control the pain first, and then you apply the NICO to stimulate healing and regeneration. You'll improve blood circulation to bring it into the tissue and take the toxins out of the tissues, because remember, most tissues that are in a bad state are acidotic. They're toxic. The tissue has stealth pathogens present in it, heavy metals, and volatile chemicals like bisphenol A and other chemicals that are disrupting normal energy metabolism. Then I would add things to increase tissue energy in the muscles and the ligaments and other tissues like CoQ10, ubiquinol, CoQ10 Supreme, ALC-1000, D-ribose, mitochondrial catalyst, mitocarnitine, uridine, triacylauridine. These increase energetics, and of course we have our new form of IBS care, which is a propionyl L-carnitine as well, which is a slow-release tablet. So we have technology. D-ribose and ALC, you can make a special I call energy drink. More powerful than anything you buy anywhere. And if you want an energy drink that's going to relax you too, put in Calm Mind. A lot of people are their blood pressure is high and they're tense because their autonomic nervous system is way out of balance. And all they need to do is just simply raise the energy bar. And they can do that with these energy drinks, including ALC-1000 and D-ribose. Now, the Lumen Photon, when you apply it to an area, and we'll start with the feet. If you've got poor circulation in your feet or problems with peripheral neuropathy, this is the setting number 7 for pain, if you've got painful feet, and Nico for regeneration. If you've got calf problems and poor circulation and you've got proven venous or arterial blockage, you want to put it up on the Nico setting after you've done pain control with setting 7. Any special other numbers, Ron, for circulation? Let's say they've had an arterial blockage.
But that could be that's the really powerful one for increasing the circulation. Number 4, you can use it if you've got diabetic neuropathy, poor circulation to the heart, that sort of thing. Wherever you've got poor circulation, number 4 is the one that really works in that situation.
Right. Now, let's say we're moving up the body and we have somebody with a hernia pain. Setting number what would be the best for hernia pain? Would it be... a lot of times that's going to be the muscles are going to be getting really tight in there. Number 5 will relax that. 7 is the best setting for the pain, but very often number 5 will take over in doing that and relax that tissue in there so that it's not as tight and it's easier to back out of that. Right, it works good for the muscular, the endoderm. Yeah, right, exactly. And then we have problems with chest pain, coronary artery spasm, kidney problems. We can place it directly over the kidneys. If someone has an eye problem, whether it's cataracts or wet or dry macular changes in the retina, what setting would you use for the eyes?
Everything is number 3 except for glaucoma. And number 7 has been, in a number of the cases, people that have called us and dealt with glaucoma, that number 7 lowers the eye pressure it's a use basis. They've got to do this pretty much 3 to 4 times a week, if not more than that. But number 7.
I usually recommend daily. I recommend a half hour daily for the.
I think that's what I would say. Yes.
Yeah, and of course we recommend Vision Max, Can-C, Nutritrala, Cell Detox, Glutathione, Phospholipids, Neurogen, Nutrifos, Omega Supreme Krill with the krill oil, astaxanthin, and phospholipids, very important for remyelinating the nerve fiber tracts.
And they need to know, everybody needs to know, copper and zinc. And you have...
Copper and zinc we have in our Vitamin Mineral Max, Minerals Plus, and all of our supplements. Our Trax amino acid chelates. So you'll find it in the Ageless Energize. You'll find it in the Life Support and Glycemix. They're all present.
The one thing that if we're deficient in copper and or zinc, our lights, the electronics in the body don't work as well, and the lights are shut down at times completely, or otherwise not as effective as it should be. So,
isn't that interesting?
Copper and zinc. But we have seen that, and that's been documented enough. So, those are the primary ones that slow it down or block it. So,
well, zinc-based metalloenzymes makes new proteins, messenger RNA, and transcribes the enzymes. So, it's not surprising that would be the case. It makes total sense.
Yeah, that's it. So, other than that, keep using. Circulation seems to be more and more.
Now let's talk about price. Now, the one that's my favorite is the 264 dual pad. So you can have 2 pads. You can get a large pad. You can get the 132 single pad, which I think is the most popular. What are the price range?
Yeah, that's around $1,000, $999, somewhere right in that range. So.
Yeah, and there's nothing to buy. You don't have to buy additional pads or anything else. And if you take care of your system, it'll last for years and years. I mean, it really is. It's amazing.
And if you do any traveling, we don't carry them. Dr. Bill may have the cigarette lighter inverters. Those things are typically around $20, $25, maybe a little bit more than that. But that allows you to use it when you're traveling. You just plug it right into that. It gives you a 3-prong plug, and you're off and running using. My wife has severe spinal damage to her low back area, so we always travel with those units for her purpose. That right there, simple. And that's inexpensive.
So she's all ready to roll. whether she's sitting in a car on a long drive or she's in an airplane.
Yeah, she has the other driver taking over. So yeah, I use it. She has to lean back in the chair, that sort of thing. It's really that bad.
Is that other driver Ron Patterson, or is it someone else?
No, that's me, almost always. So.
Yeah, you're the driver.
Yeah, glad to be able to do it because it's she's worth it. So.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, the nice thing too is your pets. If you got a sore pet, you can put it on the area, and your pet's going to love it. The nice thing is that the pads are extremely durable. Pets get so soothed by it, if you have a little dog or cat or a little bird, and you can put it by them too because it's going to penetrate through the little body, and it doesn't irritate, it doesn't cause pain, it doesn't have the danger of causing burns, it's not hot. This is not a heat generating pad, it's not a hot pad, it's a light pad. Yep. And that's what's needed. It's far near infrared light therapy. The neat thing is you can't really see it. And that's why people look and say, half the LEDs are broken. They don't light up. It's because half the LEDs are far infrared, and so you can't see them. You can see the near infrared ones and they look red, but the far infrared ones are black because, it's extremely unlikely you're going to see far infrared light. The frequency is beyond normal human vision.
Yeah, there are a few people that can actually do that, as we know, but very few people, far less than 1%. So
less than 1%. Those people, by the way, make excellent acupuncturists. What I discovered in the total darkness, I could see the little acupoints of light shooting out.
Yeah.
I was seeing in the near part of the far infrared spectrum. You can't see the full, but you can see the near part, and that actually is rated acupoints where the Langerhans or neurodermal complex of the nerve, autonomic nervous complex, etc., and collagen all converge on a little tiny point, and it's a point of energy, and there's infrared light being generated right at that point, so you can actually see it.
And that is what the masters really do. They see those. I mean, they know where it is. They don't have to. You
can actually see them. You know the chart, but you actually see. Oh yeah, how do you so accurate? Well, it's not they're psychic. They can actually see the spot. I mean.
Yeah.
It's right there. They've studied the body charts, and of course, between the combination of studying the body charts and knowing the organ system that's linked to that, they know exactly where it is because they can see the little light spot where the spot is. That's pretty neat.
It's if you use it on your mouth, upper and lower, and all. There are 32 meridians in the body. There are 32 teeth, and each tooth is tied to one of the meridian systems. So you use it there, you're activating every meridian system in the body. That's a very simple way to boost the systems.
That's a form of infrared acupuncture. You don't have to even be selective. Just put it over there, and the body will use what it needs and open up the pathways and heal your body. How simple. Sitting Seven or Nico, how can you be more simple?
Yeah.
Every home should have one. This is an amazing device. I tell people, Lumen Photon, you want to be well, this is a device everybody should have, even when you travel. Thank you, Ron. We will be back in a moment with hour number 3 coming up with Tim Alexander. Major updates tomorrow with Harley Schlanger, and we have Keith Davies. And if you got our mass email that went out last night, he's worked with Walid Shubat, and we've got some major breaking news and articles with Keith Davies in hour 3 tomorrow.